I will check the messages and questions at the end of the presentation. So let's move ahead. Now we discussed some of the main obstacles, the programmings that are programmed into our subconscious mind during childhood. And I would like to talk about this phenomenon about the elephant. A young elephant is chained with a chain and a peg so that it can't move. It doesn't have the power to move. And then as it grows, it becomes programmed to believe that it cannot move when there is something on its leg or when there is a stake near his leg. And what happens is that this elephant is so programmed that it undermines its own strength. It could easily move the peg, could move a truck, could move a peg, it could knock down a house or a tree, but it doesn't because it believes it cannot, because it was not able when it was a young elephant. And we are similar to this. We have been programmed to believe that we are unworthy or unable or insecure and in danger, and we continue to feel that way, although our conscious mind tells us differently. Now, there's a nice parable about the lion and the sheep, which is told in India, where there's a lioness with her cub, and they're chasing a flock of sheep, and as in the chase, the lioness falls off of a cliff, and the young lion cub grows up with the sheep and becomes programmed like the sheep. And it goes baa-baa, and it eats grass, and its nature is altered by the society in which it is growing. And then one day, lion sees this flock of sheep and sees this lion behaving like a sheep and catches up to it and says, "What are you doing? Why are you behaving like a sheep?" And he says, "Well, I'm a sheep and you're a lion and you're going to kill me." And the lion says, "Come with me." And he takes the lion down to the lake and says, "Look at yourself and look at me. What are you?" And he realizes that he's a lion. In the same way, we are born into a society which trains us to feel weak, unworthy, unlovable. And great beings like Christ and other divine beings come to earth and teach us the opposite. They said that you are expressions of God, that you are worthy of God's love and worthy of everyone's love, that you have power within you that you never have even thought of. So we are like the lion growing up with the sheep and being programmed falsely to doubt our self-worth, our security, our freedom, our power. Now, the concept of evolution is extremely important for the process of self-acceptance. We can accept ourselves as imperfect beings because we are in the process of evolution. And it's natural that we are not perfect because we are in this process. So we are lovable and acceptable as divine consciousness in the process of evolution. In the same way that a bud is equally worthy and lovable as the flower. It just hasn't become a flower yet. So we are like spiritual buds. We have all the potential to become spiritual flowers. We're in that process. There is really no benefit in the bud rejecting itself or us rejecting the bud saying you're not worthy or you're unworthy because you're not a flower yet. This would be ridiculous. And self-rejection will not help the bud become a flower. And so we, as spiritual beings, will not be helped by self-rejection. We need to attend to the fact that within us there's a much more beautiful being, and that we can continue to express that beautiful being more and more as we love ourselves and respect ourselves. We do not need to reject ourselves in order to become better. Another concept is the half-finished painting. Now, don't be concerned about the fact that this is a previous American president. It's just the only images that I've found of a progressive painting. And what we see here is that the painting at every stage of its development is what it needs to be in order to become its final event, the final painting. So we are all like half-finished paintings. We're in the process of perfecting ourselves. We could not be anything else than what we are at this process of our evolutionary process, just as this painting could not be anything else than what it is at each process, and it is perfect for the state of its perfection. So it's perfect as it is in the process of becoming perfected. So we are the perfect expression of ourselves that we could be at this moment. We are not complete. We still are in the process of becoming perfected. So we need to accept ourselves as we are in this perfection process. In the same way, a first grader, a young child, is equally worthy of love and respect as the university graduate, as a university professor. More knowledge does not make us more lovable, more worthy. Every being, regardless of his amount of knowledge or ability, is equally worthy of love and respect. Often when we cannot perform, when we cannot succeed, we feel rejection. We may reject others when they are not able to be okay, capable, or to fulfill their responsibilities. We may reject ourselves. We need to think of the two legs of self-acceptance and self-confidence, that someone may have had these legs broken in their childhood. We may have had these legs broken. Others who we tend to reject may have had the legs of self-acceptance and self-confidence broken, and they're not able to perform. They are still divine beings. Of course, we will want to heal our legs of self-acceptance and self-confidence. We will want to encourage others to do the same. But none of us are unworthy when we are not able to achieve. Our worthiness of love and respect are based on our essence and not what we can do or appear, how we appear. Imagine a person in a coma. This person can offer nothing to anyone. They are not able to perform any actions. Their appearance is certainly not beautiful. They are costing perhaps $1,000 or even more dollars a day. Are they equally worthy of love? Of course. But they're not worthy of love because they're doing something for us, or because they're able to succeed or run a company, or their appearance is good. They're worthy of love because they are divine consciousness in a body. And that makes us respect and love this being, and even spend thousands of dollars and hours of time tending to this being, to this consciousness in a body which perhaps cannot even speak or digest or do anything. So the source of our self-worth comes from our divine essence, which is always there. Whether we can do things or not, whether we succeed or not, regardless how we compare to others, it's based on our divine essence. Now we're going to look at some positive beliefs and perceptions, which are pretty much the opposite of the beliefs that we spoke about last week, which if you haven't seen, you can see on YouTube. And these positive phrases and perceptions, truths, as far as I'm concerned, can be used in many ways. One way is by written affirmations, and we'll see how that's done. Another is in the deep relaxation with positive projection techniques. We can speak them into a mirror as we look at ourselves. We can use energy psychology to program them into the mind. We can use hemisphere balancing techniques to program into the subconscious. We can use regressions to the inner child in order to relive the past with the truth, and we'll talk about that. And we can express them through art or dance or any creative expression. And we can behave as if we already believe and experience these truths. So what are these truths? I am worthy of love and respect as I am, regardless of what others believe about me or how they behave to me. No one can diminish our self-worth by thinking less of us, by speaking badly to us, or by disrespecting us or criticizing us. It's it's a divine, we are divine essence, we are divine consciousness in a physical body, and that is where our self-worth is based. No one can change that. My self-worth is independent of how I compare with others. So we are all unique and equally worthy regardless of our differences. So we need to cease comparing ourselves. We're always going to find someone who is doing something better than we are, and of course many people doing things with less ability and less success than we are. And it's a shame to create all of this feeling of separation and to feel more or less worthy, higher or lower, when this is all an illusion. Our self-worth has nothing to do with how we compare to others, and others' self-worth has nothing to do with how they compare to us. My self-worth is based on my essence and is totally independent of external factors such as intelligence, wealth, appearance, abilities, our success, our professional position, my children's success. Many of us seek self-worth through others, through our children or through our spouse, our friends, or people that we know, as if we are more worthy if we are connected to people who are doing well. It has nothing to do with our parents or with our home or whether or not we are attractive to the opposite sex. These are all social illusions, social programmings, which have nothing to do with the divine truth and nothing to do with who we really are. These are temporary life situations which we have chosen and which we are creating for our evolutionary process. We want to attend to them. We want to be as successful as we can. We want to create as much happiness as we can for ourselves and other people, but that does not change our self-worth. And here we see a chart which helps us to measure, which helps us to understand how we tend to measure our self-worth. We can see on the left-hand side here three concentric circles. In the base, we have the soul. That is our identity. This is what we are. As souls, we express ourselves in each incarnation through a specific personality, mind, and body that we create for the purpose of manifestation in this physical realm. This personality is enclosed in a system of beliefs. Each of us are programmed with certain beliefs as children, and we develop new beliefs as we move on. These beliefs create motives, and motives generate efforts towards certain results. We want to make money, we want to create homes, we want to create relationships, we want to be happy. We seek to create the reality that we would like in order to be happy. And then what happens is we begin to evaluate ourselves based on the results. But not only on the results, on our perception of the results, but by others people's perception of the results. We want to know how others see us, if they like the food that we cooked, if they like the painting that we painted, the lecture that we gave, the book that we wrote, if they like what we have done, if it's acceptable to them. And often we do not evaluate ourselves based on their perception, but our perception of their perception, which may not always be the same. We may feel that they did not like what we did and feel rejected when they may be actually liking it. So what we need to do here is to evaluate ourselves only in two ways: by our motives, whether they are pure, and by our effort, whether it's the best effort that we can make. There are many other factors in the universe affecting the result. There's our karma, our soul choices. There's the universe around us, other beings participating in helping or obstructing the results that we want. It's not just our effort. Our effort is one aspect of the creative power. And we need to understand that and to seek to cease evaluating ourselves in terms of the results and just ask ourselves, have I made my best effort here in raising my children and seeking to create this objective that I have? Did I do the best that I could at the time with my programmings, with my beliefs and my life situation? That's all that I can ask of myself. We can continue making better and better efforts toward the results, but we need not to evaluate ourselves in terms of the results, but by the quality of the effort. Now, we tend to confuse some basic concepts. We tend to confuse intelligence and ability with self-worth. Being intelligent and being able does give us the right to greater responsibility and authority. We're able to handle authority and responsibility and to create results. But that does not make us more worthy of love and respect. Love and respect is also the right of those who are not intelligent or not able at this time. Being ethical gives us the right to trust, confidence, responsibility, and freedom. If I'm not going to be ethical, then I may have to be limited. I may have to be confined in jail if I'm going to be stealing or cheating, or lying. So I lose the right to freedom or to confidence or to trust, but I do not lose the right to be loved and respected. And we need to understand this. We need to love and respect every being, including ourselves, even though they cannot be ethical. We may have to limit them, confine them, even take them to court if necessary. That's okay, with love, but not have hate towards them or towards ourselves. We're all in a process of evolution, of becoming more ethical, of becoming more intelligent, and becoming more able. So what gives us the right to love and respect? By being an expression of the divine. Now there's an interesting thought here. We have all read or heard that man is created in the image and likeness of God, of the divine. And some theologians interpret that in the following way, that the image is to be taken for granted in all beings. Even the thief and the murderer have the image of the divine in them. The likeness is what we manifest from the image, how much we have brought that image into our daily life, into our behavior, and our way of thinking. So we all have the image of the divine within us, the potential to be divine. This is called theosis, to become like the divine in our values and in our ethical behavior. But we are in the process of manifesting that. But we all are all expressions of the divine. I am equally worthy when others are receiving more attention than I am. Neither am I more worthy when I'm receiving more attention than others. So we need to let go of this idea that we are less worthy when others are receiving more attention and we are receiving less attention. Hello, I'm Monikizui. You can send a message or a fax. I'm sorry about that. I had forgotten to remove the phones. I hope it won't happen again. So let us continue. I'm just removing, I have about 5 phones here. I am equally worthy of love and respect when I have and when I do not have an exclusive love partner. Many people feel that they are worthy if they can find someone who loves them exclusively, and that they are not worthy, that they are lesser beings if they do not. Our essence is within us. Our worth is within us. We are divine consciousness on the physical level. We may enjoy life more, or even less, with a love partner. That depends on how harmoniously we can connect with each other, but has nothing to do with how worthy we are. And if someone else chooses to be with someone else and not with us, that does not mean that that other person is better or more worthy than we are. It means that those two people have a soul connection, that they have chosen to be together and to learn and to give each other stimuli for their spiritual process. So if someone chooses someone else over us, that has nothing to do with our self-worth. It means that those two people, that other person may even have negative qualities that we do not have, that this other person is choosing because they need to experience those negative qualities in order to evolve. So we need to let go of all feelings of rejection and that we are less worthy if we do not have a love partner, or if someone is choosing another love partner over us. It has nothing to do with our essence. I am worthy of love and respect even when I am not perfect and even when I make mistakes. We have explained that we are in a process of evolution, and in this process of evolution, we are always worthy. We are not complete. We make mistakes. We are not perfect, but we are worthy of love. I am worthy of love and respect even when I am feeling weak and in need of support. Many people reject themselves when they feel weak or when they need support from others. They feel that they are lesser beings. This has nothing to do with who we are. We all have moments in which we're feeling weak or need support from others, and it's good to be able to accept ourselves in those situations and to be able to accept love and accept support from other people. Some of us are too proud and we reject weakness, and then we reject weakness in other people, and we have very little patience with our own weakness or with theirs. I am worthy of love and respect even when others are not satisfied with me. I am okay with their dissatisfaction as long as I am okay with my conscience. This is very important. We cannot have others' satisfaction as a reference point for feeling okay, because some people may withhold satisfaction as a blackmail mechanism, or it just may be the way that they function. They may be in the role of the victim or the unhappy, and they just would like to complain. So what we need to do is ask ourselves, am I doing for this person what I would like that person to do for me? And just check with our conscience. If our conscience is okay, then let's be okay even when others are not satisfied. If we feel that we can offer more, let's offer more. Let's serve them more. That doesn't make us more worthy. It may make us happier. It may make us more aligned with our higher self because we're letting go of personal needs. But we need to let go of feeling unhappy and unworthy when others are not showing satisfaction. Let us do the best we can. Let's explain that to the others. And if we're okay with our conscience, let's be okay. I am worthy of love and respect even when I cannot or choose not to say yes to what others ask of me. And we need to learn to say no with love. And being able to say no with love allows us to say yes with love. Perhaps in a future webinar we will talk about freedom, because if I'm not free to say no, then when I say yes, I often feel suppressed, because I feel that yes, there was no other choice. And so I may even start harboring negativity towards that person even though I say yes. So it's important to know that we are worthy of love and respect even when we have to say no or choose to say no. But in order to be able to do that, we have to be able to love others when they say no to us. So it's a two-way street. If I am able to love others when they are not able or willing to comply with my needs, then in certain situations, I may need to say no and feel that I am lovable and not feel rejection and not feel guilty. It's wonderful, of course, whenever we can, out of love, do for others what they're asking, but there may be times when what they're asking is not good for them, and we may be harming them by doing for them what they could be doing for themselves. My self-worth is independent of how what I give compares to what I receive. We already mentioned this last week, in the last class, that some of us tend to feel that we need to give more than what we receive from others in order to be worthy, that the person who gives more is more worthy. We need to let go of this. We are not giving because we're loving. We're giving to gain our self-worth. And that's not giving, that's taking. So we need to be able to let go of this perception and understand that our self-worth is independent of how much we give or how much we receive, and just receive and give out of love, nothing else, not dependent on self-worth. My self-worth is independent of whether others are able to trust and confide in me or not. So some of us feel rejection when others refuse to confide in us or trust in us. It's like they're saying to us, well, you're not a good person if I don't trust you. That's how we interpret it. But the very fact is that in most cases, these people have their own problems, their own fears of revealing themselves. And it has nothing to do with us, and certainly nothing to do with our self-worth. So we need to be able to feel okay when someone chooses, when they're aloof or fearful, and choose not to confide in us, not to share their feelings or needs, or to tell us what's going on within them. My self-worth is a reflection of my divine origin and has nothing to do with family, religion, economic, or social status, or any other grouping. So we need to let go of all of these stratifications, social stratifications, economic status, educational status, religion, nationality. We are all equally expressions of divine consciousness. We all have that image. We may not have all of the likeness to the same degree. Some of us may be manifesting more of that likeness, but the image, the consciousness is within us. I love and accept myself exactly as I am, including my weaknesses and faults, at my present stage of my evolutionary process. So the key word here is my present stage. It's a stage of my evolutionary process. I'm not perfect, otherwise I wouldn't be here, unless I was an avatar who just came to serve humanity. I'm here because I'm still in this process, and I've come to learn, and I'm lovable as I am in that process. I am beautiful, just as I am, just as all of nature, of which I am an expression. So each of us is uniquely beautiful, as we are. We need to do nothing to change our appearance. It's a shame to waste all of this money, time, and energy. Let's keep a clean body, a clean mind, happy thoughts, a smile on our face, and we're beautiful. My self-worth is based on my inner being, my existence itself, my divine nature, and not on any external factor. So just imagine that light in your chest, in the center of your being, within you and around you. This is what your self-worth is based on. Your divine consciousness, which is within you and around you. My self-worth is based on the truth that I, as all other beings, am a unique expression of divine creation. My self-worth cannot be increased nor decreased by others or myself. I do not deserve more or less love and or respect than any other being. And we are all equally loved by the divine and by all angelic beings and all spiritual beings, by Christ and every other expression of the divine. We are all equally loved, no matter what we do. Even though I am not perfect and I have a number of faults, I deserve love and respect as I am, just as I respect and love others as they are with their faults. I am an expression of divine consciousness in this material dimension. And this is the basis of the whole concept, that we are expressions of this divine consciousness in the process of evolving our ability to be aware of that and to express that in our daily lives, in our thoughts, our words, our actions, our creativity, our service, in so many ways. Now we're going to move into part 3 of this webinar, in which we're going to talk about the techniques that you can use in order to strengthen any of these beliefs. So what you can do is you can choose any of the beliefs we have mentioned above, or any other beliefs that you choose to strengthen. And now we will talk about methods for doing that. First of all, let's talk about what we had mentioned in the previous class, and that is that when there are two problems here. One is the social programming, which is all illusion, and the other is when we're not behaving according to our conscience. When we're not behaving according to our conscience, we need to do the following process. Admit our mistake and ask for forgiveness. There's no other solution. We have to admit that we were wrong. We have to let go of the ego and ask for forgiveness. Then we seek to correct any damage that may have been done. Then we analyze and understand the fears, the needs, the beliefs, and any other forces that caused us to behave in that way. Because this is a learning process, that's all. We're just here to learn. There's nothing really going on here. It's just a learning. We're not this, body and mind. So what were the beliefs? What was I believing, fearing, needing that caused me to behave in a way which afterwards I did not feel good? I mean, I felt like this is not how I would like the other person to behave to me. Then discover the new belief that will free us from the old behavior and allow us to behave as we would like to ideally. So what do I need to believe? What transformation do I need to make so that I'm free from the need or the fear and I can behave as I would like to, as I would like the other to behave to me? And then we determine the new way of behaving, this alternative behavior from now on, and we imagine ourselves doing that. We practice it in our minds. Then we realize that we are not actually the creators of the other's reality, but that life has used us to give them this experience, just as it uses them to give us experiences. It's for our growth and their growth in both situations. When we are the abuser and they are the abused, and when they are the abusers and we are the abused, it's all a play, a drama for our mutual evolution. We are responsible for our actions. There will be karma to those reactions. We will experience the results of them, not for punishment, not to suffer, no benefit in suffering or being punished, but to learn. So we are not actually the creators. We have not actually created anyone else's reality. And number 7, we realize that our essence is divine, pure, and always worthy of love and respect and acceptance. So this is the process of dealing with situations in which our conscience is bothering us. Now, most of those situations in which we have behaved in conflict with our conscience are the result of the fact that we fear for our self-worth, security, freedom, pleasure, happiness, and fulfillment. And these are based on social programming. So what we need to do is how can we change our social programming, which is causing us to behave against our conscience, which is creating more guilt. So we need to accept, okay, I am programmed, I was programmed to function in this way. Let me accept myself and love myself, even with these mistakes, but let me now attend to find the way to get out of that. And so this is what we're going to talk about now. First of all, we have written affirmations. I'm going to go a little quickly now because I want to give you time for questions and answers. We can write on the left-hand side of a page in which we have drawn a line in the center, I deserve love and respect as I am. And then on the right side of the page, we write our responses, pros and cons. Not when others reject me, not when I make a mistake, yes when I succeed at something, not when my children are not well, not when I have 10 extra pounds, not when I don't have any money, yes when I remember I am divine, yes when I am learning something new, not when my parents do not accept me, not when I fear, not when my children are not well, not when I lie or cover the truth. So this is a process that you can do for 3 or 4 days, writing on the left-hand side 20 times the phrase, I deserve love and respect as I am, and then writing on the right-hand side any kinds of answers that come, which verify or which conflict with this perception. And then, once you have done that a number of times, well, I would say about 20 times a day, 20 times you write the affirmation, you move on to the next stage, which is to personalize the affirmation. And what do we do there? It says, well, I deserve love and respect even when my mother does not accept me, or even when my children are not well, or even when I have 10 extra pounds, or when I do not have an exclusive love partner, whatever it may be. And then we write on the right-hand side the responses that come to us to one of those. We don't write all these different ones. You choose one. And we write on the right-hand side whatever comes to our mind. And then we see what our obstacle is there. And we bring that over to the left-hand side. And we say, okay, I deserve love and respect even when, and we put in the new obstacle. And we keep doing this as we go deeper and deeper until we get to the point where there is no more resistance to this perception. These new perceptions, these beliefs or truths into our mind in the state of deep relaxation. So we can learn to do relaxation, let all of the body and the mind relax deeply, and then begin to focus on these truths and repeat them in our mind or visualize them as images, visualize ourselves experiencing these truths in our daily lives, and perhaps more specifically in situations where previously we lost our sense of self-worth and we felt rejection or guilt or fear or hurt or anger, and that we are able to maintain our sense of love for ourselves and, of course, equally important, our sense of love for the others. We can do the same process verbally by speaking to the mirror. I deserve and love and respect as I am, or we can speak to the mirror saying you deserve love and respect as you are, and repeat this a number of times and say anything else which is important to us to say to ourselves. It's good to have a conversation with ourselves occasionally, express our love to ourselves and our concerns and our needs, and perhaps ask help from ourselves. It's an interesting method, speaking to a mirror. Now, probably most of you know EFT or TAT or WHEE or BSFF or any number of these new methods. And there are ways to do tapping in which we can internalize positive thoughts. We don't have to tap only on the negatives, for example. Even though I reject myself when my mother criticizes me, I love and accept myself. There is the choices method. And the choice method says, even though until now I have felt unworthy and demeaned when my mother criticizes me, my spouse looks at other men or women, I fail at some effort, I speak harshly to my children. You choose one, you choose anything, you don't have to be of these, whatever is obstructing you. You say, even though until now I have felt unworthy and demeaned when, then I now choose to remember that as an expression of divine consciousness in the process of evolution, I'm always worthy of love and respect. And you can choose any of the above phrases or any other phrase that you may think of. And this is the setup phrase for the EFT with choices. And what we have here then, we have the divine consciousness as the reminder phrase that we're going to use when we tap. But it could be anything. But it should be short, 3 to 5 words at the most. So you can have a long explanation for your setup phrase. I choose to remember that as an expression of divine consciousness. But you would always need a short phrase for the tapping process. And then what do? You go through the tapping process, and if you don't know about this, then go to our site or go to the YouTube or any other site and learn EFT. I've got a video there which is about 20 sections or 17 sections on YouTube, but you can learn to do EFT. And I think it also mentions the choices. Maybe not, but I'm not sure. So you do the first round tapping on the negative emotion, which is self-rejection or guilt or fear or shame. And then the second round, you repeat the positive phrase at each point that you tap. At the top of the head, at the eyebrows, the side of the eyes. At each point that you tap about 7 to 10 times, you're now repeating the positive phrase. Not the whole thing, the short phrase that connects you to that, worthy of love and respect or divine consciousness. And then in the third round, you alternate. So at the top of the head, you say your negative phrase, and then at the eyebrows, you're positive, and then the negative at the side of the eyes, and the positive at the cheeks. And in this way, you go through all the tapping points, alternating between the negative, feeling guilt, self-rejection, whatever it may be, to I'm divine consciousness or worthy of love and respect, or I accept myself as I am. And this connects these two concepts. What you're doing here is you're changing an association so that every time the negative perception comes to your mind, you've connected that by this tapping process to the positive. So it's one round with the negative, second round with the positive phrase, and third round with the alternative each point. The WHEE, the holistic hybrid of EFT and EMDR, does it slightly differently, but it's the same concept. Now, in energy psychology, there is the concept of the tabletop. So we may have this tabletop of self-doubt, okay, which is created by hundreds of experiences underneath. These are all the legs of the table. So in order to change the self-doubt, which has been created by hundreds of experiences of the past, we need to remember some of them at least, about 10% of them perhaps, and do the tapping on those experiences of the past that created the self-doubt. And what about 10% of those, if there's 100, if we do it on 10 of them, the whole table falls down because we've removed enough legs that this whole perception of self-doubt is removed. So you may need to work on the past, not just on the feeling of self-doubt today, but all of those childhood, not all of them, but many of those childhood experiences, or even from a few years ago, that may support the tabletop of self-doubt. We may do a seminar separately on these energy psychology techniques. Now, there's another method that you can use. It's called hemisphere balancing, in which you cross your feet and your hands in a specific way that you can see here by my friend Sophia. And you focus, when you're in this position, with the legs crossed and the hands crossed in a special way, You focus on the truth that you want to install. You repeat it over and over, peacefully, feeling that it's true. You don't repeat it in a way that you're trying to convince somebody. You're simply stating the truth, that you are worthy of love and respect as you are. You're not convincing anyone. You're just experiencing the truth. Now, it's more complicated than this, but I'm just giving you the basic idea. Then you bring to your mind some images and scenes in which you see yourself experiencing that fact. That may be in pleasant scenes such as nature or the sea, or maybe in scenes in which you in the past felt self-rejection or guilt, and you see yourself in the scene feeling good about yourself and good about others. And then you begin to focus on the feeling of this inner worth, and you allow that to flow throughout the body and mind, and enjoy that feeling, the feeling of inner worth within you. And this situation, the legs and the hands, causes a balancing between the two hemispheres of the brain, allowing this perception to be more easily accepted. We can do regressions to the inner child, to the past, or in some cases perhaps even to past lives, but the inner child is the most important thing here. And we relive the past with the truth. As we go to an experience in which we felt rejection or pain or fear or abandonment, whatever it may be, and we go through that experience again, reliving it with the truth. And we see ourselves feeling okay, feeling our self-worth, feeling happy, feeling safe in that same situation. We don't change the situation. We change our experience of the situation. So what we're doing is we're actually changing our programming, because there is no past. The only thing there is our interpretation of the past. And we're going back and reinterpreting the past, realizing that even though other people were not able to treat us with love and respect, we certainly deserved it. And maybe also remembering that we chose this as a growth process, so that we feel this light within ourselves, this peace, this love for ourselves, this love for the others in that past negative experience, and we reprogram ourselves through this regression. Another possibility is to express our inner self-esteem and self-confidence as art or dance, or in any way that we can manifest that and experience it more as a body experience, as an emotional experience, and not so much simply as an intellectual perception. And finally, we can start behaving as if we already believe and experience that we are always worthy of love and acceptance. This is called behavioral therapy. We behave as we would if this belief was already deeply installed within ourselves. And by behaving in this way, doing what we would do if our self-esteem was increased, and ceasing to do what we would not do anymore if we did not need approval or acceptance from other people, or we're not attached to certain situations such as our appearance, things that we would not do, and by behaving in that way, our mind is altered. So the behavior, in this case, changed the perceptions.